Out of all the corks out there, you might be asking, well, which one am I supposed to use, right? You got 3 different style of corks that we throw inshore fishing. Which ones are the best ones to use? So, it was a question I had from one of my members, Dan. I appreciate you for the question. It helps me to make videos to help other fishermen. So, we got the oval shaped one. That's a Texas-made lures cork. Then you have the cupped shaped one, where the top of it is flat and looks like a cup. And then you have the long skinny ones. They each do something a little different. Most of it is personal preference, and some of it just depends on how you work it, just like any other thing with fishing. So y'all see me throw a lot of the cup shape, especially whenever I'm guiding. And the reason for that, I like throwing them too, but they will pop and make noise with a little less effort compared to the oval shape. You're gonna have to pop it a little bit harder. Tom, my buddy Tom, said he likes these because it doesn't wear him out as much. So you can pop these with less effort, but they don't make as much noise. So you can take any of these corks and you can pop it according to how you need it for that day or that moment while you're on the water. So you want the most amount of noise and windy conditions, that's it right there. You want a little less noise, use that one. And even less and even more subtle, you use that one. Well, how do you know how subtle it should be? That's something you gotta let the fish tell you while you're popping it. So if I'm red fishing, I'm fishing pretty shallow, about 2 feet or less. I let the redfish tell me whether I'm popping it too hard. No, they don't talk, but they do tell you, you know, you're popping a cork pretty good, you're making some commotion, you're making some noise, and all of a sudden you see a wake take off away from the cork. That redfish just told you he don't like that loud pop for that moment. So, am I gonna retie to one of these? No. I'm gonna keep that one on there and I'm gonna pop it softer. I'll pop it a little less often. You know, if I was popping it every 3 seconds, real loud, and he spooked from it, I'll try popping it every 5 seconds, a little bit softer. Today I'm going to show y'all how to work and retrieve a popping cork. We're throwing some piggy perch today. We got it on a 3/0 Mustad wide gap hook. The rod that I like to use is a 7.5 foot medium. Right before I pop it, I reel in my slack and then I give it slack by putting the rod tip forwards, and then I pop it. You have to get all of your slack up before you pop it, but then you need to give it just a little bit of slack, and you do that by putting the rod tip forwards. So my rod goes forwards and then I pop it. Drifting, which is the best way to cover water with a popping cork. Depending on how windy it is, you will have to keep up with that slack, and it takes a little practice to do that. Some other tips: I throw the cork out there and I'll pop it for maybe 45 seconds. If I don't get a hit right there, then I'll cast it next time somewhere else. And I reel it in early. I'm not gonna just let it sit there and sit there and sit there. If you land it near a fish and they hear that pop, which is what draws them into it, as long as they're biting, then they'll hit it pretty quick. So I pop it and I work it for about, you know, let's just say 45 seconds. And then I reel it in and I cast somewhere else. I fan cast. Even when I'm drifting, I fan cast. I'm going to show y'all the retrieve up close so you can see the cork and hear it. You hear it click, let it pause 3 seconds. Don't be afraid to let it splash a little bit. You don't have to do it real hard, but hard enough right there. I mean, that's it. Let it sit 3 seconds, give it a pop. Throw it short one more time for y'all. Just pay attention to the sound mostly. And it's going to sound a little different with each pop, depending on how hard you hit it. Just hit it hard enough for it to click and splash just a little bit. You don't want to peacock bass fish and pop the absolute crap out of it, but you want it to make a little noise. Dang, we got a hit. Right there by the boat. I was just trying to show y'all something, that's all. Another difference between this one and this one will cover more water, because when you pop this one, it pops and it moves over. Every time you pop it, it moves over. The cupped cork, when you pop it, it moves a little bit, but it you pop it and it kind of stays in place. It doesn't move as much. So if you're wanting to cover water faster, you can do it with either one. This one, you can pop it, and when it sits there, you can give it another pop and another pop. 20 seconds later, you don't get a bite, reel it in 10 feet, and then start your pop again. And reel it in 10 feet, and start your pop again. So you can make all of them work for every single situation that you can come across inshore fishing. So no, I'm not gonna retie and change, I'm just gonna change the retrieve. If you wanted to throw lures under the cork, I got me some new wolf shrimp lures from Texas Angler Depot. And if I wanted to throw lures, and if I was not guiding, if I'm just fishing for fun, I would choose the oval shaped cork, because I can cover more water. I can pop it and cover more water. So Chris rigs these backwards, which is really effective for speckled trout and redfish. But when you're throwing lures, you have to be mindful of the water depth that you're fishing. So if you're fishing in 2 feet of water and you're in a grass flat, the lures for me don't work as good as bait, because you're going to catch a lot of grass. You will have to shorten your leader pretty dang short to about 12 inches, which does work. But I would rather have a lot longer leader, about 2 foot, and throw some live shrimp and let that shrimp be way back behind the cork. And when I pop it, it's pretty far away from the cork, and it doesn't spook the fish as much on the days when they're being real spooky, which happens a lot with redfish. Whenever I'm throwing the lures under a cork, I'm mostly targeting speckled trout, and I'm targeting water that's 3 to 6 feet deep. So you don't have any problem catching grass. You can make your leader 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 foot, and target speckled trout like that. But when I'm in the grass flats and I'm mostly looking for redfish, I'd rather throw live shrimp or piggy perch. You can throw cut bait under a cork, and it does work too for redfish. So this one I personally have never used, because I can make these two do everything for me that I need them to do. But if you get a little fatigued, like Tom said, this one won't wear you out quite as much, because it's lighter. It's a lot lighter to throw. It's not as heavy as the other ones. The leader line that I use under them is 30-pound mono or fluoro, doesn't matter to me. And I cut about 2 feet. I tie a clinch knot, so you go through the eye of the hook once, and you wrap around 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put it back through the bottom hole, wet it, help slide the knot down with your fingers and cinch it and clench it. Push the knot down with your fingers and trim off the excess. You see how the lure hangs natural on these shrimp lures? That's what I like. Then we do the same thing under the cork. Like I said, I would prefer these for lures, so I'll tie it on this one. And that is our speckled trout setup. 2.5 feet. And I will only fish this in 3 to 6 feet of water because I know it's going to catch grass. You know, so you can also, like I said earlier, you can shorten your leader down to about 12 inches, put your lure right there and catch less grass, and it does work. It does catch fish. But I am mostly throwing this setup in a little bit deeper water or the deeper part of the grass flat out in the open. When I'm using bait, whether it be live bait or cut bait, as soon as I find the beginning of this, I want about 2.5 feet a leader. And if I was going to choose, I'd put it on the cupped cork. I use 30 pound because it handles a lot of abuse and I won't have to retie on every single trip. The hooks, eagle claw or a mustad. You can find them everywhere. You can get kale hooks or you can get the wide gap. They're both pretty similar to me. This one's a kale and the wide gap looks very similar. They both work really good for me. Put that on the end. And that is our live or cut bait setup. And whenever you're in the grass, you know, shallow grass, that shrimp and that bait will be kind of over here and it'll float on top of the grass. It doesn't really bury down in the grass because we didn't use any kind of weight. It's just a hook. And every time you pop the cork, that shrimp and that bait works itself kind of over the top of the grass. And every time you pop it, it pops it out of the grass. So it does kind of depend on the grass you're fishing. Grass flats, I don't have any problem with it. In the marsh, the grass is different in the marsh. It's really gummy and bad. And on the hooks, I use a 3/0 for live shrimp, dead shrimp, and smaller bait such as small piggy perch. And for the cut bait, I use a 5/0, the thicker cut bait. The bigger the bait, the bigger the hook you gotta use. Always cover water, no matter what you're doing on fishing. So you work these corks drifting, you work them down a grass edge drop off. We got a good cold front coming. Our water temp is gonna drop a little bit this week and the fish are gonna be fired up. If y'all wanna book a trip, got plenty of openings for fishing trips. I can show you how to work the cork, how to pop it correctly and everything. Thanks for watching and tight lines, y'all.